start with Representative Greg Leding from the great state of Arkansas. Can you introduce yourself and tell us a little bit about your work on this issue, your interest in this issue, and just your general views?
Absolutely. Thank you, James. I'm Representative Greg Leding from Arkansas, specifically Fayetteville, Arkansas, in the northwest corner, and happy to be here today. I first met James just about 3 years ago. I wanted to do something about human trafficking in Arkansas and discovered this group called Polaris. And I was actually out here for another conference and stopped by their offices. And through the next legislative session, we were able to pass a pretty significant bipartisan package of bills that took Arkansas from being among the 4 worst states in the union to among the 4 best. So we're really proud of that and the work we did. And just a couple months ago in Minneapolis at the NCSL Legislative Summit, I happened to bump into one another, and it was good to catch up. And he said he had this new job now, he had this new mission that he was on, and would I be interested in helping? And I said, absolutely. I'll admit, I knew almost nothing about the issue, but I've learned a lot since, and I'm happy to be aboard to do whatever I can. And I learned that Arkansas actually has one of the highest populations of juveniles serving without a chance of parole. We have 116, only Pennsylvania, California, Michigan, Florida, and Louisiana have larger populations, and most all of those have significantly larger juvenile populations than Arkansas. So we've got a lot of work to do in our state, but I'm ready to do whatever I can. We're going to go into session here in about 60 days or so. Heard the legislators from West Virginia said they got 60-day sessions. We've also got just 60-day sessions, which can be incredibly difficult. You do have all kinds of issues that come flying at you, although it seems like they might have one more obstacle that you have to have everyone go through 2 committees before it actually gets put forward. Fortunately, we only have to get through 1. You do expect it to be a little bit of an uphill battle in Arkansas, but so is the human trafficking legislation, and we got that done. So I'm happy to be here today.
Thank you so much. So we got a smaller crowd here, so it takes a little while to catch up.
Also, politicians.
Politicians in one room go the opposite room. Senator Besson, ma'am, happy to have you here. And, please introduce yourself.
Good afternoon, everybody. Is this on? Oh, I'm sorry. Good afternoon, everyone. My name is Joanne C. Benson. By profession, I am an educator. I served in the House of Delegates for the great state of Maryland for 20 years, and this is my 2nd term serving in the Senate. I need not tell you that this subject, as it pertains to juvenile justice, is very, very dear to my heart, in view of the fact that as an educator, I have worked with students and taught every grade except for kindergarten. So I know the characteristics of the youngsters that we're talking about today. I also was very much involved in the great state of Maryland with the human trafficking bills. I've worked very, very hard. We passed some excellent pieces of legislation in the great state of Maryland as it pertains to human trafficking. But today, my concern is really, really having to do with what we must do in the way of, first of all, clarifying what Miller says, what the law says, what the Supreme Court really meant. Because if you look at the research, it's all over the place. Each state has its own interpretation regarding the Miller case and also the Graham case. And so hopefully we can come together and help this great country to come up with a clear understanding, and we may have to go back to the Supreme Court to just get a clearer understanding of what the law really says. My interest in this happens to be with a youngster who is in Denver, Colorado at this time. He's one of my students, and he is incarcerated and has been there for 17 years. He did not commit the crime, but he was with the individual who committed the crime. And so he was sentenced, and I might just want to say to you all that the youngster that I'm concerned with hadn't started when I was a principal at a school in Prince George's County in the elementary school. His mother was on drugs. He never saw his father, and the background was just really heart-wrenching. But he turned out to be a very bright, talented student. Never got into any trouble, but happened to go to Denver, Colorado because he wanted to be with his mother to try to bond with his mother. He was there for 2 months, met 3 other children, and a long story short, one of the children decided to kill a man over a car, and he was with them. But he was sentenced to life without the possibility of parole. Here's a youngster who has never, ever, ever been in an ounce of trouble, has an exemplary reputation back in Prince George's County. And for the past 2 years, I have been fighting and working very hard to ensure that justice is served. I might want to say to you, he does not have a record. He's never been into any trouble. And I'm here today because I want to see what we can do in the way of dealing with those youngsters who've never been in any trouble, who are caught up in circumstances and end up being sentenced to life without the possibility of parole. I am very glad to be here this afternoon. I want to thank everybody in this room for being here. I want to thank you for your sensitivity to this case. If we look at juveniles, if we think about when we were juveniles, you know, we were not mature individuals. Our thought pattern was not similar to that of a 25-year-old. I could go on and on talking about what I see as something that we must do here this afternoon, and hopefully we can come up with a solution to this problem and work in a concerted effort to ensure that fairness and justice is served to our juveniles